welcome back to Book Club Preview. I'm Michael, and today we're looking at Ender's Game, Chapter 8, Rat. Now, Chapter 7 was pretty long. Luckily, this chapter's a little shorter. It starts off with Graf talking with Anderson, who's one of the lead teachers in battle school. And Anderson, I guess, handles the battle games. And Graf starts to tell Anderson, man, I want you to start changing things. I want you to start to prepare to do things different in the games that makes it as hard and different and strange as possible. And Anderson doesn't like this because he feels like it's unfair. That's going to disrupt all the other students. But Graf has control and he says, do it. Anderson's like, well, I'm going to do this, but I'm going to complain to the government. And Graf says, man, you can do whatever you want, but I'm trying to do something here. And even if it messes up, what's going on, which I don't think it will, we need to do it differently. And so Anderson says, okay, fine, I'm going to follow you, but I don't like it. And I am choosing, if I see something going wrong, I'm still going to go to the government and tell that I think you're doing a bad job. Graf says, okay. So it starts off with Ender being transferred over to Rat Army. And Ender's so glad to get out of Bonzo's salamander team. So he leaves everything and heads off towards Rat Army. When he gets to Rat Army, it's completely different, almost the opposite of Salamander. In Rat Army, everyone's kind of relaxed, casual, not really caring about too much. And the commander or the leader is Rose the Nose. They say nose because he has a kind of a Jewish nose. I'm guessing he's Jewish. And I think Jewish people in this sense have maybe bigger noses. And so they call him Rose the Nose. And Rose actually takes on this name because in the story, some people don't like Jewish people. And so Rose is trying to make fun of himself to keep the other people from disliking him. So he's kind of protecting himself by making fun of himself. So he calls himself Rose the Nose. And they're very, very different than Rat Army. Rose is like, okay, we have 3 rules in Rat Army. 1 is like listen to orders. 2 is something else, and that was it. And then Ender's like, well, what's rule number 3? And rule number 3 was like, what? Wasn't that 3 rules? We don't do math very well here in Rat Army. And everyone's laughing. Everyone's laughing in Rat Army. So then Rose says, hey, look, you're in this other kid's squad. That guy is everything to you. Follow everything he says. So Ender says, okay. And this is Dink Merker. So Ender goes around and looks for Dink because that's his platoon leader. If you think of an army, okay, here's an army, a whole group of people. But an army is too large to control without small leaders in it. And these are called platoons. And that's how these armies are broken up. There's 40 people, and maybe there's 4 platoon leaders. Okay, team of 9, team of 9, team of 9, team of 9, and then 4 leaders. I don't know how it's broken up, but Dink is one of these leaders. So Ender goes to Dink, and we learn that Dink actually traded to get Ender. Bonzo said that he got rid of Ender, but the truth was Dink wanted Ender. And Ender's like, well, what's going on? And Dink says, look, I see something in you, and I'm not going to let you rot under Bonzo, so I grabbed you. I know you're going to suck. I know you're going to be awful, but we'll see what we can do and see if we can make you a good soldier. And Ender says, okay, man, I'm here to learn. Let's do it. Dink is really cool, and he really takes Ender and really starts to teach him a lot. But one thing Dink tells Ender is, man, you don't have to listen to Rose the Nose if you don't want to, because commanders only have the same power that you'll give them. And Ender's like, well, what if they beat me up? Because that just happened with Bonzo. And I don't think Dink says anything about it, but Ender kind of realizes, like, okay, I don't think Rose will actually beat me up. So when Rose gives him some rules, but Ender doesn't follow them, and Rose tries to use his authority to control Ender, but Ender actually pushes back. And some of the other boys are like, Ender, are you crazy? Ender looks at Dink, and Dink just pretends like nothing ever happened, and Ender gets the signal like, okay, I'm on my own. Like Dink said that I don't have to obey Rose necessarily, but I'm on my own at the same time. So there's consequences for this. Um, when Ender has a battle, Rose wants to punish Ender. And so he says, okay, Ender, you're going to be first, and you're going to just run out. And this is battle. So Ender obeys this time as far as battle goes. And so because Ender disobeyed, he gets sacrificed. He's like, just go out there by yourself. And instead of seeing it as something negative, Ender flips it. And he always does this. Whenever people try to use their control to power him, he says out loud a positive way. He's like, that's a great idea, Commander. As I get out there, I'm going to shoot in the direction where the main army is, and then you'll know where the main force is. And Rose says, you won't have time to shoot. And Ender launches out. And he launches out, and he kind of shrinks down, and he puts his gun in between his legs. So it's like this. And as he's going in, he starts shooting the other team. And they're shooting and hitting his legs. And so it's just bing, 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 bing. It's not hurting him. And he's still shooting with his good arm. And then he finally gets in the middle. He spreads himself out and he starts shooting all around in a circle. So I think he freezes like 3 guys. He injures like a few guys and then damages a few other guys. So his score goes actually up really well. And he does a good thing for the team. So after that, Rose doesn't really bother him anymore, just leaves him alone, and Dink really starts to train him. As Ender gets into other battles, his score goes down because he's learning, and then as he starts learning, his score goes back up to being number 1 again. As he's learning all these things, he notices that Dink doesn't go to dinner as quickly as everyone else. So Ender stays back to watch Dink. And Dink sees him, and he's like saying, Ender, go away, but Ender doesn't go away. So finally, Dink takes off his space uniform, so he's like in his undergarments, and he just floats off into the battle room, and he just floats slowly, doing nothing for like 10 minutes. And then he hits a wall, he goes back to his battle suit, goes back to Ender, and says, let's go get some food. And Ender can see that what Dink is doing as far as like just releasing his stress. And then Ender says, man, what was that about? And Dink says, I don't want to be a commander. They've tried to make me a commander, but I don't want to play their game. The teachers are the enemy. I don't want to get crazy like a commander. All the commanders are crazy. Bonzo's crazy. Rose is actually afraid of the dark, so he doesn't sleep. The commanders have like their own room, but Dink sleeps with the army. And so he's just like saying, man, commanders are all get crazy. I don't want to get crazy. I'm not going to be a commander. And he kind of shares this with Ender, and he's like, man, the government wants us to think that the buggers are coming back, but the buggers aren't coming back. We defeated them. They're just trying to trick us to keep their power. Ender doesn't quite think this, but he doesn't really share that with Dink. Wise. I'm not sure here what part of the story, but maybe Ender just watches Dink and tries to get wise and to learn things. I'm not sure. Ender takes all the things he's learning and he tries to teach him to the Launchies, and they still keep practicing, and it ends up getting to the point where the other commanders, the other leaders, don't like Ender, and so they start to yell bad things at Ender, and they start to tease him, and they even start to spread a rumor to the other Launchies that if they practice with Ender, they're never going to become part of the army. So So people slowly start to give up on Ender's practice, except for Shen and Ali, who even tell Ender, man, we got to keep doing this. So eventually it gets so bad where some of the boys, they want to fight. They're actually ready to break bones and hurt people. And man, this is pretty awesome. I'll try to explain this quickly. So in the battle room, Ender's 10 kids or so are practicing, and then some of the big boys start to come out to hurt them. Ender goes into a corner, and these guys are coming after them. Now Ender has a plan, and all the boys scatter, and they all bounce off of each other, and they escape. And so does Ender. But one of the boys was frozen, and they threw them to kind of hit the other team. So this one frozen boy, Ender doesn't want to leave. So Ender goes back to him. He spins. He kicks the boy, so he's off and free towards his other team members. But then Ender ends up going towards the angry boys, and they really want to hurt Ender. So this isn't good. So one boy comes up, and Ender just starts damaging them. Oh my goodness. One boy tries to punch him. Ender grabs his arm, and he like kicks his shoulder, and he like scrapes his ear off. And then that kid gets hurt, and his blood's going everywhere. Ender gets kind of stuck. Some other boys are coming. He dangles down, so they grab his feet. One boy, two boy. Another boy comes up to Ender. Ender grabs the boy's shirt and smashes his helmet into his face, and blood explodes. And then Ender grabs that kid's body and throws him to the other kids, which they get all like messed up and tangled, and Ender's kicking them. He kicks one guy in the groin, another guy, I think, in the chest. I mean, Ender's just destroying these kids until finally he can escape, and he pushes off towards his team members. And his teams are like, whoa, Ender, oh my goodness, you crushed those kids. And man, it was pretty awesome. Alai thinks that the teachers are going to step in and protect Ender and their trainers, but they actually don't even punish any of the kids where that happened to. So the next day, some of the other commanders send messages to Ender saying, hey, Ender, we've got your back. We think what you're doing is good. We're going to protect you. Actually, some of our soldiers need extra practice, so we're going to send them to you to practice with you, and that'll actually help protect you a little bit. So this next time Ender has practice session, he has like 45 guys there, so even some bigger kids, but the enemies don't show up that time. After that practice, Ender goes back to the room. He's working on his computer, and he decides to play the giant game. And as he's going in there, he goes back to where the snake is. This time he grabs a snake, he kills it, he takes the snake, and he looks into the mirror. And this is pretty crazy, because when he looks into the mirror, he doesn't see himself. He actually sees Peter. And Peter has blood dripping from his mouth and a snake tail in the mouth that he's like eating the snake. And this freaks out Ender. He's like, wah! And then he grabs the snake and he throws it at the mirror, and it shatters and it breaks into little snakes, and they bite him and they kill him. And Ender's kind of freaked out about this, and he closes the game. And I think that is how the chapter ends. Some vocabulary. Forestall means to make someone wait, but you kind of think of it in advance. Insubordination is disobeying, not following orders. Fond is like, wanting to do something. Ostentatiously. Oh my goodness, there we go. Ostentatiously. Ostentatious is like showy, flashy, and I can't remember what was ostentatious about Ender. Maybe it's his uniform or something, but it just means like bright, showy. And the last one here, protruding. Protruding means sticking out. So if you look at your hand, if you make a fist, maybe your middle knuckle protrudes, sticks out farther than your other knuckles. So in the video game, the giant's bones are protruding from the ground, and you can't really tell that the giant was ever there anymore. That leads us to our discussion question. Do you think Dink is correct about the government, about battle school? Is everything a lie? Or is Ender correct? As far as Ender thinks, okay, well, maybe some things are a lie, but some things are true. Like, how much of Dink do you believe? How much of Ender do you believe? And of course, please make your own discussion question. That is all the time that we have for today, but thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Book Club Preview. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.